Welcome back to another episode of Duel Links Degenerates, where we talk about the dumbest decks in the history of Duel Links, how they worked, and where they are now. Let's get started. Now that I'm exploiting the community to make decisions for me, just kidding guys, thanks for filling out the poll. This week's episode should be a surprise to no one. Grass Shiranui. Grass Shiranui was another crazy graveyard loading deck that saw play at the very beginning of 2020, during DSOD era. Surprising? Literally nobody. Grass Shiranui has two ingredients, grass and Shiranuis. We covered how grass works in a previous episode, but to quickly summarize, you and your opponent compared deck sizes. And if yours was bigger, you send cards to your graveyard until you and your opponent have the same size deck, so that they feel better. Since most Shiranui decks are 30-card piles, players would usually get a very fair and balanced 10-card mill to the grave. This is where the second ingredient of a deck comes in, Shiranuis. In lore, Shiranuis are a clan of swordsmiths who make swords with ghosts in them. In Duel Links, Shiranuis are a deck with a ton of graveyard and banish effects that were a meta-level threat pretty much from the day they were released. The main combo relies on getting this dude in the graveyard and then waiting.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
On the turn after he's sent there, you can basically synchro zombie monsters with materials from your grave by banishing him and another zombie. In doing so, you would usually end up triggering other Shiranui's effects that go off if they're banished, doing things like thinning your deck, summoning banished Shiranuis, adding Shiranuis back to your hand, and blowing up monsters. This deck's secret ingredient is this thing. Burgeoning Whirlflame has two effects. The first one is useless, but the second one lets you banish Shiranuis to trigger their effects without even needing to use this guy. The Shiranui extra deck has a bunch of synchros that can either be used to climb into each other or as a toolbox to deal with different problems. Their effects handle things such as not dying, beating over things, and non-targeting destruction. With 10 cards of bullshit fuel in the graveyard and 3 cards in hand, resolving grass is oftentimes enough to send your gameplay into maximum overdrive and insta-win duels. So this is the deck that eventually got Grass banned, but it didn't happen all at once. On March 24, 2020, Grass would be added to the Limit 1 list. This would lower the chance of opening it by about 20%. However, just like our other friend here, all that meant is when it did happen to you, it felt about 20% worse. On July 21st, Shiranui themselves would be hit on the ban list. Finally, on October 14, 2020, because of Shiranuis and a couple of other graveyard-abusing decks, Grass and our other friend here would be banned, never to return. And though Shiranui is a deck that just wouldn't die, this version was killed permanently. Shiranui went through a couple versions throughout the years, but per popular request, I would also like to use this time to cover this one, because it's a very simple explanation. Trap Nui is what happens when your favorite deck list gets hit on the ban list. So you go through your deck list, take out a bunch of cards with numbers on them, and then throw in these funny looking purple cards. Now, instead of winning quickly by cheesing your opponent in one turn, you can now slowly and painfully kill them over multiple. Trap Nui was never as good as Grass Shiranui, but none of us should be surprised because we all shoulda knew it. Thank you folks for watching, and if you have any other degenerate decks you want me to cover, please leave them in the comments below.